What's going on, y'all? Peace and blessings. Thank you all for joining. So, first, please hit the like button, like, share, and subscribe. Let's give all glory to God as we start with the gospel. Jesus took on flesh and died for sinners and rose again. And we will expose the world. So, first, as always, we start with a trailer. So, we're live. Welcome. I'm going to play the trailer and then we're going to get started.
It's a great deception. Replacing mum and dad, small businesses and private enterprises with big tech and big business. Democracy and free enterprise go out the window. Totalitarian government control slides in through the back door. Those behind this scheme are adamant that there can be and never will be a return to normal. That life will never again be what it was prior to COVID. That is why they constantly talk about the new normal. The World Economic Forum meets every January in Davos. You will have heard of the expression Davos man. It refers to all the zillionaires and pop stars and popes and princes and politicians who meet every year to map out our futures. This year's Davos is very, very different to all the previous ones. The World Economic Forum, along with the United Nations, along with the International Monetary Fund, and along with any number of prominent globalist organizations and powerful individuals, including Prince Charles, together have jointly promised that the 2021 World Economic Forum will be used to introduce, via a vast network of connected big tech corporations, online activist movements, and compliant local and national governments, something they call the Great Reset. This isn't some sky after dark fantasy conspiracy theory. It is a global commitment they have made to use the panic and fear generated by the coronavirus as a means to reshape all our economies and laws and move to a new form of capitalism that focuses on net zero emissions. You might think this is a great thing. You might think this is a terrible thing. If implemented successfully, the Great Reset will undeniably and deliberately have extreme and possibly dire repercussions for every single one of your constituents. Already, the Great Reset is being widely advertised on posters and in ads across the UK and Europe, and no doubt will be here before too long. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy is just one of their marketing slogans. The plan involves replacing shareholders of big companies with stakeholders who happen to be left-wing bureaucrats and climate change zealots. Replacing mum and dad, small businesses and private enterprises with big tech and big business. Mrs. Kafup's share portfolio is out. Greta Thunberg's zero emissions are in. Democracy and free enterprise go out the window. Totalitarian government control slides in through the back door. But remember, it's not only a great reset, it's a great deception. Because in order to get everyday people to surrender many of the rights and freedoms we currently take for granted, the repeatedly stated aim of these organizations is
All right, y'all. Peace and blessings. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, first, thank you all for joining, and please pray for me. It's been a crazy day, crazy few 12 hours. Family situation. Had been in the emergency room, so everything appears to be all right. It's just, life happens. So if y'all can keep me in prayer, and we'll continue to go. But so far, so good. And I just give God all the praise and glory and honor for His grace and mercy. So let's get to it. So you see the topic: Venezuela and Somalian chaos and crisis to establish the beast system. Now, a lot of people hear about Venezuela and it's about oil and natural resources. And let me just be clear. Yes, the world is after natural resources and oils, but the narrative to this war games and engineered conflict is not about drugs. Never been about drugs. Matter of fact, we know that drugs started with the governments going to other countries, growing the drugs, and then distributing them. That's part of social engineering. So if you think that the government that played a role of feeding the drug problem cares about drugs, you're lost. That's number one. Number two, we're under one world government. excuse me, y'all, we're under a one world government. So I understand that many people have this illusion of sovereign nations, but we're under nation states, right? If you go, one thing that COVID 2020 did was prove that the world is divided. Its world leaders and countries are divided into districts and nation states, right? So basically, you can call it the Rothschilds, the Jesuits, the Satanists, or whoever you want to call these secret societies and satanic people who control the governments, who control the monetary system, who control all these mechanisms, right? So war is just an institution of change, right? They have to create some kind of theatrical explanation to why they're going to do things like COVID 2020, right? They told everybody that there was an invisible enemy that was floating around while they sprayed you and poisoned your environment, poisoned your food, and radiated you with fifth, sixth, seventh generation technology. They created all these symptoms in your body, and then the Freemasonic institutions created these terms. Convid is out there. It's on the loose. Even though there's no diagnostic procedure, we know about Kerry Mullis. We know about all this. There's nothing visualized, isolated, verified, or purified to prove any of their claims. They use institutions. And I do talk like this because I want to break a foundation. We know that John D. Rockefeller, a Freemason, a Satanist, he created the public indoctrination / educational system, and he created the big pharmakeia industry, right? Neither of which are honest or true about anything. So they wanted to indoctrinate the children at young ages with philosophy and worldly knowledge and all these things so they can grow up and they can trust in these authority figures. They'll trust in credentialed people from institutions, and they'll believe the experts and the news anchors and the politicians. That was what the whole idea of John D. Rockefeller indoctrinating children so that they will grow up and believe this Freemasonic structure where these puppet leaders and puppet people are placed in position to, spin these narratives and theories and all kinds of lies and deceptions. And ultimately, you get spiritually dead people who don't have Christ to know that they shouldn't trust the world, to actually expect that the world that is a catalyst for corruption would actually care about the truth, care about you, care about anything. And the big presuppositional fallacy that I have with many people is that they don't ask the big question. Why do you trust anything that the government says? Why do you trust any three-letter organizations or government organizations or agencies? Why do you attribute that these people care about the truth, that they will tell you the truth? So we just saw this great reset video here. I was showing you here.
It's a great deception.
And essentially the beast system is going to be publicized through the great reset. Now, the great reset is this the transition. The beast system, the world has all, since Christ ascended into heaven, the world has been into Antichrist. So it didn't just start in COVID. It didn't just start in 2011. This started a long time ago. We're talking hundreds, maybe thousands of years ago. Empires, civilizations, and all kinds of people. There's secret societies that move throughout multiple civilizations, empires, monarchies, and government, centralizing power among Illuminati bloodline families, or the Rothschilds, the Vanderbilts, the Astors, or whatever you want to call these people, the Kennedys, all these secret societies that we hear about, that we know are real. Even the CIA. Go to CIA.gov and type in 13 Illuminati bloodline families. They're real and they exist, and they've been around, moving through time, putting in their puppet leaders, and now you understand the geopolitics of why governments are putting their puppet leaders, subverting the financial system, putting up this Rothschild banking system, this private public partnership that we see. Pure capitalism never existed because there's always been government, corporate welfare and subsidies and contracts where government will throw an infinite amount of money at any institutional corporation that serves its interests. That is not honest capitalism. Now, pure capitalism can only be produced on a communal level among honest people who actually understand supply and demand on a communal level. Once you get up to the high levels of economics, it's all corruption, smoke screens, deceptions, and they promote idealism. Over here, we don't do the left-right paradigm lie. We know that there's only one party. There's only a group of Satanists who control opposition off each other to give you the illusion of choice, the illusion of influence, so that you'll put your trust and you will participate in their idolatry, where they got you actually worshiping the government. Most people don't realize that when you go to that booth every 4 years, you're bowing down and you're worshiping at the altar of government. You're showing that you trust their puppet leaders, you trust in their systems, and you have faith in what they're doing. Because you can't prove any reason why you should trust these people. They lied. The government has empirically proven to have lied just about everything. And the things that they do tell that are true, they've lied about what their application and their intent is. So when we say everything's a lie, we mean how it's being promoted and how it's being used to manipulate people. That is always a lie. So now that we got that out the way, so we're talking about Venezuela. So I'm going to quickly go here. Listen to this. Let me put my headphones on. Now, over here, we don't do politics. We expose politics, all of it. We never trusted all presidents come through a Freemasonic structure, from George Washington to Donald Trump, all of them. I know you might have heard, well, some of them, John Adams said that this is not a Christian nation. And we check out my playlist on my backup channel, Following Christ Forever. A Christian nation is an impossibility because a country cannot be born again. And when you try to give what appears to be a superficial form of godliness or an aesthetics of biblical values and biblical principles to unbelieving, unconverted people, all you do is foster deception. You got a whole bunch of unbelievers wearing the Christian label like a disguise to cloak their participation in corruption. And because they're not born again, their nature is aligned with the corruption of the world, and therefore they're blind to their own evils and how the evils of the world are exploiting their wicked heart. So check this out, y'all.
Boots on the ground earlier. Can you just sort of button this up? Do you envision the U.S. military having a presence in Venezuela as the U.S. runs that country?
Well, no, we're going to have a presence in Venezuela as it pertains to oil, because we're sending our expertise in. So you may need something, not very much. But no, we're going to be taking out a tremendous amount of wealth out of the ground. And that wealth is going to the people of Venezuela and people from outside of Venezuela that used to be in Venezuela. And it goes also to the United States of America in the form of reimbursement for the damages caused us by that country.
Okay, so you all heard that, right? Now a lot of people are going to say, oh, he's trying to help the people of Venezuela. Again, this is delusional thinking. No world leader, no president, no anybody, no prime minister, no mayor, no governor. No one actually wants to help people, because once you get to a certain level of mainstream politics, it's gate kept by people who are colluding with the agenda. They're in the interest of providing social engineering, steering people to trust in the system and all that stuff. These people are getting paid. They're getting incentives. They're getting money moved under the table for them to play whatever role, control opposition, the whole Democrat, Republican, left, right, helter-skelter dance. That's all social engineering, right? Cultural conditioning, psychological warfare among people who have not been set free from sin, among people who are spiritually dead and don't have faith in the one true God, Jesus Christ. If you don't have faith in God, your whole thinking is corrupt, your desires are corrupt, and all the world does is exploit you by your own worldly ambitions and fleshly desires. Yes, they're all actors. That's what, if you look at J.D. Vance, if you look at Candace Owens, if you look at Erica Kirk, all these people are in Hollywood. Their origins came up in some kind of theatrical, their families are in three-letter government agencies. It's so obvious, the collusion and participation with the government, especially when they claim the Alex Jones of the world. Yes, Alex Jones will say things, but he never will pull out of the political paradigm. And that's where his compromise is. And a good deceiver wants to offer the illusion of credibility, but the only way you can see through the lie is that you have to be set free from your own wicked heart that blinds you from the corruption of the world. Because a lot of people in the world, they believe whatever the world says because it feeds their ego, their worldly identity, their pride of life. They care about wealth or attention or popularity more than they care about the truth of God. That's ultimately the idolatry that blinds people from accepting the obvious. This is not even hard to see. This is self-evident and easy to see, but people are lost. So again, listen closely. We're going to break it down this time.
Referenced boots on the ground earlier. Can you just sort of button this up? Do you envision the U.S. military?
Now, boots on the ground. Yes, we are expendable assets to the government. They can gladly put on a display of force and violence and military destruction because we're expendable. So just because you see bombs or missiles or whatever, it doesn't mean that it's real in the sense that they're promoting. Yes, people are being harmed, people are being killed. Yes, disaster is happening, but they don't care. These world leaders will gladly sell out their own people and play into selling out the people of other people to put on the show. That's why they're put in that position, right? They have to create the conditions to justify why they're going to do what they're going to do. Most people don't even realize that Venezuela is now promoting digital ID. Venezuela and like many cities around the world are being turned into smart cities. Now, the logical thing is when you're going to do something new, the first thing you have to do is destroy the old, right? Order out of chaos. Problem, reaction, solution, scorched earth. They use the concept of the phoenix, right? The phoenix rises from the ashes. We know about the burn back better, the fires, the floods, the weather manipulation, the military. For those who don't know, let me share my screen. I told y'all, man, we don't play over here. We expose lies and we tell it like it is. Let me tell you, if you're wondering why the weather is the way it is, you're not delusional. So let me share my screen and we're going to get back to it, but let me share my screen. And we're going to quickly go to the military owning the weather in 2025. This is the military. This is the military site that I'm pulling up here. Military owning the weather in 2025. So we're in 2026 now. So keep in mind, this is always weather modification and weather manipulation has always been going on. They're just making it public. And this is a .mil site. So it's official government. Weather is a force multiplier owning the weather. And let me tell you what the true intent, besides creating catalysts and chaos, confusion, civil unrest, they want to make people destitute, disenfranchised, and desperate because they want desperate people to think that whatever the government says is a solution, right? If you get people demoralized and destitute and disenfranchised and desperate enough, they'll accept any lie and deception as a false solution. So we know about the hurricanes in Jamaica and the Maui Lahaina fires and the Manitoba, Canada burnout. Siberia's on fire. The rainforests of South America and the Congo are burning. They were burning the whole world down, and they're creating this climate false narrative so that people can accept ESGs and carbon credits. All this is part of the social credit society where they need to digitize your identity and monitor and track and surveil everything you do so that they can put you into their AI governing systems and punish you or reward you based on your conformity, assimilation, and compliance into their new world order, right? So, but let me just share, so we get that. So we know about the weather. And also the weather is an opportunity to strip capital. Now, most people who know about finance, real estate is a great investment, right? When people own their homes or their own properties, that's a great asset that can be liquidated and stored up as an investment in hard times or to put in other investments to make money off of being a landlord-tenant agreement or something like that. Well, if they're going to create a new monetary system, right, a new monetary system, it is imperative that they make sure that there's a great reset, that everybody has to start and get out of society and then have to re-enter all their assets into the new system. So what they do is they're using weather issues and hyperinflation and property taxes and all this stuff to basically steal properties, right? And weather modification, there are a lot of people who own their homes, but basically they don't have high income. So most people buy insurance, but the truth is insurance, if you need to use insurance for a total loss, they'll probably drop you and give you pennies for what you paid for. So basically you took a total loss, your property was basically liquidated and the money went to the insurance companies, and the insurance companies took that capital, and most people don't have a couple of $100,000s to rebuild from scratch, right? The insurance company doesn't reimburse you, you take a total loss. They strip that asset away from you, and now you have to start from scratch to get back into the system through digital ID, blockchain, the Genius Act, CBDC, programmable currency, everything that's tracked with your social credit system, right? Because that's what they want. They're getting rid of they created a job crisis because they want to get people only on jobs that are based on compliance, right? Basically, your skill set is secondary to your conformity. They proved this in 2020 when everybody had to roll up their sleeves for a lot of jobs, government, city, or whatever. They gave you a mandate, to coerce you to obey or lose your job. That was a pilot test system. That was psychological manipulation to test people and condition the weak and faithless to fall in line out of fear. Those of us who are born again in Christ, money doesn't control our faith. We will choose Christ over everything. But a lot of people who have their identity in the world, they didn't have the faith to go through hardship and loss. But, some people who were unbelievers, even the unbelievers saw that something was wrong with turning your body over to government experimentation. And yet, but mainly they're going to keep boiling you in the pot like the frog on the slow boil. And if you don't have faith, there will come something that will compromise you eventually. So let me show you what we're talking about here. We're going to go to technological policy. And sorry, I'm trying to put a lot in. I'm trying not to make this too long. Let me see, Venice. Please like, share, and subscribe, man. You're not going to hear a lot of what we talk about anywhere else. There's only a handful of channels out here who are bold enough and spiritually aware enough in Christ to tell you the whole truth. We're not trying to sell you in a political agenda or anything like that. So please like and make sure you're subscribed so you can get more content like this, So let me show you what's going on here. So, and this is in September 10th, 2024. See, these are the connections that a lot of people won't make. Venezuela, digital ID as a tool of oppression. So we know after COVID, the digital passport, the digital identity became mainstream, where they justified that to keep you safe, quote unquote, they wanted you to have a digital identity where they can track everything you do and give you a risk assessment, a threat risk assessment based on your digital identity. Basically, they say if you didn't get your jabs, then you're a threat. If you don't do this, you're a threat. And basically, it's like a threat assessment risk situation that the social credit say, well, you know what? You're not doing what your carbon footprint is too bad. We're gonna not allow you to participate in the economy. It's a good way to cut off and restrict people and coerce compliance based out of fear and loss. So I'm gonna read this quickly. It says, digital identity systems are often sold as the future of convenience, a streamlined path, blah, 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 to assessing rights and service. See, they've taken your rights through force and through a restructuring of the economy and society, and then trying to offer them back based on you opting in and assimilating into this transhumanism, Internet of Bodies, social credit system that they're going to talk about. Everybody's familiar about Bill Gates, the 060606 U.S. patent, turning your body activity day into a cryptocurrency, basically turning how you move your body into a programmable currency of compliance. So CBDC, programmable currencies in the tokenized society, is not the end goal. The end goal is to make you the currency and turn your compliance into currency. So basically, the more obedient you are, the more social credit value you have, the more access to services and resources in society as they transition into a society where you can only get access to services and resources. Remember, they control the food, they control the water, they're tokenizing natural resources. They don't want you to have access to anything without them giving you the qualifications. This is very mark of the beast system, buying and selling without the mark. And we know the mark is spiritual. Right hand refers to your mind, and right hand refers to power and will and action, and your forehead refers to your mind. So the mark of the beast will reveal itself as people who reject Jesus biblically and worship the beast system. Right? So it's a false worship. Now, there may be some physical expression of technology where they use that in economy to determine who buys and sell, but the mark itself is a physical thing. It will be expressed as something physical in the economy, but the part that sends you to hell is you participating in the false worship of the beast and rejecting the biblical Jesus Christ. Don't get the two conflated. Yes, there will be something that will be needed to help you buy and sell. It will be some kind of false worship. And yes, I don't know for sure. Of course, no one knows in exactness, but based on what the Bible says, we can assume that it will be you rejecting Jesus and worshiping the beast system and possibly taking something technological that will require you to be able to participate in the economy. Two things can be true at the same time. So you see, they're going to sell you digital identity at some kind of convenient, streamlined path, blah, blah, blah. But it says prior to early 1990s, Venezuela was considered an unusually long-standing and stable liberal democracy. And don't get persuaded. Basically, they said that these people were kind of independent. They really were trying not to opt out of the world system. Although I think that should be scaled, because to be a country, you have to have involvement in the world. But maybe they were the outliers. They were the ones who had more, less involvement in this new world system. And now it says they transitioned into democracy in 1958. And I don't really like secular history because it's full of idealism and revisionist history and lies and deceptions, but it is what it is. The nonprofit Freedom House labels it's not free. So basically, it says with the denigration of its political system, and that's what politics is, a means for them to destroy your way of life so they can offer you a new paradigm. Venezuela has transformed into a nation that is also under digital siege. At the heart of this authoritarian overreach is the government's digital ID system, a behemoth constructed from the interlocking pieces of the Patria system, the Administration Services of Identification, Migration, and Foreigners, SIAMI, and the electoral system. On the surface, it promises efficiency. So remember, in US, they had DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, and we know that was crazy because the government is designed for waste. The country is literally built upon debt. So, and the people are corrupt, and they move in corruption. So it's not designed to ever be efficient. In fact, it's full of corrupt criminals and Satanists who manipulate people who are spiritually dead to believe a lie, So it says beneath the veneer lies the panopticon control. So we got the surveillance, tracking, tracing, the technological smart camera governance that we see everywhere in the world. It specifically became well-known after COVID 2020. So again, we're reading this right here to let people know that what the government and the TV and the corporate CIA media is telling you is a lie. I don't know why people believe the CIA Operation Mockingbird corporate board media. They're just tools. The media was designed to deceive people with disinformation. It was never designed to tell you what's really happening, but to give you a narrative to deflect and distract you from what's actually happening, so that they can get you to trust and buy into whatever narrative or deception that they're doing. So I just had to do that. No, that was a mouthful, but I wanted to do that. So let's continue to listen to the foolishness here.
Presence in Venezuela as the U.S. runs that country?
No, we're going to have presence in Venezuela as it pertains to oil, because we have to have, we're sending our expertise in, so you may need.
See, anytime they tell you, well, it's really about oil. I thought it was about drugs. Now it's about oil, and now it's about Maduro and all this puppet leaders. All these people come from the World Economic Forum. Trump, Putin, President of China, Latin American leaders, UK leaders, they're all puppets of the WEF under Klaus Schwab's Young Global Leaders. They're all groomed and trained to play and act in this political world stage, deceiving people who love to be deceived. That's exactly what's going on.
Something, not very much, but no, we're going to be taking out a tremendous amount of wealth out of the ground, and that wealth is going to the people of Venezuela and people from outside of Venezuela that used to be in Venezuela.
And what is he saying? Wealth, wealth, wealth. We're going to create wealth. The wealth is not coming to us right now. Everybody's drowning under insurance, property taxes, hyperinflation, cost of living, cost of food. He's just gaslighting you. Where's this wealth? The wealth is going to the private equity firms of technological companies and oligarchs who control and now run the government. And the government has always been ran by oligarchs and secret societies. They're just making it public now. They're just making everything that was private public to basically know that people are spiritually dead, to just go with the flow.
And it goes also to the United States of America in the form of reimbursement for the damages caused us by that country.
And again, if you are still asleep and you disagree and you're not biblical, that's fine. You can disagree. All I ask is that you be respectful, you don't spam, you don't be disruptive, or we will just kindly remove you, because we don't have time for that. If you want to believe the world stage and fall for the delusion and the lies, go start your own channel. There are plenty of channels of deceived people who believe in the left-right paradigm. Over here, we don't do that, and it's already obvious. If you rolled up your sleeve and participated in this government experimentation and you still not awake, then only God can help you. And so over here, we just want to make a space for people who obviously see that this world is obviously lying to you and deceiving you. And we want to first start with the gospel, that people can see that the problem is inside of our hearts, that we need to be set free from sin. We need to abide in the love of God to be set free from the darkness of this world, because God desires relationship with his children. We were created in his image. Now, sin separated us for that, but God showing his love through the person of Christ, who died and rose, that we can be born again of his spirit and we can have fellowship with God for eternal life. So he reconciled the world to himself that we can be saved. Now, if you don't care about the inevitability of death and the conscience that reveals that you have a problem, look, I can't help you with that. And that's something you have to deal with. So check out my backup channel. We do all the biblical. I do biblical stuff everywhere. You're always going to hear the gospel. You're always going to hear a biblical worldview everywhere. But my backup channel, Following Christ Forever, somebody can drop that in the chat, is where we have the real in-depth biblical discussions. And no, we're not like these fake teachers and false teachers and all this people who preach a different Jesus, a different gospel, and don't have sound doctrine. We're not involved in those 7 mountains mandates, no 501c nonsense or anything like that. Strictly Bible that all points to Jesus Christ biblically. We don't care about no celebrity, fake pastors and teachers and all that nonsense, the mega church, corporate money-making scheme. We're not into none of that. We expose it all as the Bible does.
Boots on the ground earlier. Can you just sort of button this up? Do you envision the U.S. military having a presence in Venezuela as the U.S. runs that country?
Well, no, we're going to have a presence in Venezuela as it pertains to oil, because we're sending our expertise in. So you may need something, not very much.
And just in case somebody asks, yes, we expose Biden, we expose Obama, we expose Bush, we expose all of them. When I started my YouTube channel around 2019, and I was talking about Biden, and that's when the censorship was removing everybody. So all my videos were removed. Either I put them on Rumble, Spiritual Logic, or Odysee, Spiritual Logic for Truth. You can catch my stuff on there. All my links in the description box. So yes, my videos were removed. I received about 20 strikes on all my channels, and it was by the grace of God that my channel wasn't deleted. So yes, I did expose when Biden played his side of the left-right paradigm lie. Now we're talking about Trump and what he's doing, because, he is the father of Operation Warp Speed. He, just like Biden, they both played into the Agenda 2030, COVID 2020 deception. So we don't choose sides. We're not partial or partisan or anything like that. The Bible calls out the entire world, 1 John 5:19, and so do we.
But no, we're going to be taking out a tremendous amount of wealth out of the ground.
So let's check out something else. I want you all, and we're going to talk about what's going on with this.
Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua with Russia relationships. Why this region matters with all of its rich resources and rare earth elements. You've got the lithium triangle, which is needed for technology today. 60% of the world's lithium is in the lithium triangle: Argentina, Bolivia, Chile. We just have the largest oil reserves, light sweet crude, discovered off of Guyana over a year ago. You have Venezuela's resources as well, with oil, copper, gold. We have the Amazon, lungs of the world. We have the 31% of the world's fresh water in this region too. It's just off the charts. We have a lot to do.
And what are they going to do with the lithium and the fresh water? Data centers, right? We know about the BlackRock, Vanguard data centers that are popping up all around the world to power their AI. Project Stargate, Project Gotham, Genesis Mission, um, you know, digital control grid infrastructure. Because what are they doing? They're promoting 15-minute smart cities everywhere, right? All around the world. Chile, from South America to United States to Canada to Mexico to Europe, China, Russia, Australia, New Zealand. There's not a place on the earth where there's 15-minute smart cities and smart grid AI governance is not being reached. So this is what they're really doing. They want you to focus on oil to go into this old petrodollar narrative. Look, oil has never been a scarce thing. They promoted the scarcity, just like if you really do your research, diamonds are not rare, oil is not rare. They promote scarcity because they have to create a narrative to justify why they invade countries and where they're fighting over and blah, blah, blah. Just like these weapons of mass destruction that they say it was in Iraq. Nobody found them. They just lie to you. They have to sell you. See, people who believe the world, they need something to hold on to continue to trust and participate in the system. And unfortunately, the majority of the world is spiritually dead. So they're going to use the majority to justify what they're doing, knowing that only a small minority of people born again are going to see the entire thing for what it is and come out of the world. They don't care. And that's why we're going to be persecuted. But the majority of the world is going to be the engine to kind of bring and push and celebrate this satanic agenda.
This region matters. It has a lot to do with national security, and we need to step up our game.
See, I mean, think about this. If the world wants you to focus on oil, it's not what they're saying, it's what they're not saying. See, the question everybody should be asking, what are they really distracting you from right now? What's really going on, right? What's really happening? And let me, and we're going to talk about digital ID as well. So let me pull up some digital ID for the new people here. We've all had plenty of videos on this stuff, but for those who don't know.
First of all, anybody want to have your digital ID linked to your financial account and linked to your good or bad citizen score? Well, good news for you. A plan is being created for a digital ID system right here in the United States. And it turns out Alaska is kind of the testing ground for it, but this is part of national infrastructure. Now, this ties in with changes being made to the state's My Alaska digital identity system, which is now being interwoven with artificial intelligence and payment functions. Great, right? And of course, this is raising concerns over potential abuses like what we see in China with very similar systems. Now look, let me show you what it says. This is Reclaim the Net. It says further in, what once functioned as a simple login for applying to the...
And yep, I have a video about Trump now saying why he has to go to Greenland. And let me tell you, this is a worldwide thing. They're using Trump as a pioneer because the U.S. has always been a leader in the world agenda. They want you to think that, oh, these people escaped from Britain and all that. There might have been some outliers, but in terms of the people who make the policy, the people of the secret society who establish the governments, they were always Satanists, part of this secret society that, survived through multiple civilizations. It was always that small privileged class of people who constructed the government, created systems to control the masses. And that's what they did. Now, there were people who were escaping, seeking from religious persecution, but those are not the people who built the governments. All right. When we talk about the people who built the governments and the people who participate in the Freemasonic structure, we're talking about Freemasons. We're talking about Satanists. We're talking about people of puppets of secret societies and such.
Permanent fund dividend or signing state forms could soon evolve into a centralized mechanism managing identity, services, and money flows under one digital roof. It says the plan imagines AI modules that can read documents, fill out forms, verify eligibility, and even initiate tokenized payments. Now, it says that would mean large portions of personal interaction with government agencies could occur through a machine acting.
And don't you think it's odd right now that they have the perfect distraction why they're literally engineering the economic collapse of the world. Like right now, people are drowning. There's a job crisis. The cost of living is sky high. Food is sky high. So right now, everybody is. It's almost like they're using media to deflect and distract people from their own financial ruin, and then saying, "Well, the most important thing is not people being able to feed their family or have jobs to make money, but to worry about them fighting the drug cartels, which the government and the drug cartels always work hand in hand. I mean, if you go look into the CIA and all that stuff, we already know that. You know, they have to point out an enemy, an adversary to justify why they are going to go into a country and set up their Rothschild banking system and put in their puppet leaders and all that stuff, because they're really bringing the world into singularity under this satanic new world order, right? So what's going on, y'all? Peace and blessings. I appreciate you all coming through.
Is a proxy for the citizen. So rather than talking to the government, you'll be talking to a robot pretending to be the government. Now it says the inclusion of biometric authentication, such as facial and fingerprint verification, meaning they'll have your facial scans and your biometric data overall, which is great for security, by the way, but has other problems with it. It says it introduces another layer of sensitive data collection, one that historically has proven difficult to keep insulated from breaches and misuse. So secure, but people can steal it and then make it not secure. It adds a later phase of the program, extends the system into digital payments and verifiable credentials, including mobile driver's licenses, professional certificates, hunting and fishing permits, and tokenized prepaid balances. So all of it's there, basically. It says those functions will be based on W3C, verifiable credentials, and ISO 18013-5.
So he's talking a lot of stuff, but basically digital ID is the focus right now, because digital ID is the infrastructure. It's not something you opt into. Most people think the real ID or your phone. No, those are just components. Those are individual components of digital ID. Digital ID is the very infrastructure that the government is already using all of the things that we already use, your phone, your driver's license, your medical records, and is consolidating all of this data into a place under government centralized power. And they're using technology to streamline it under AI and blockchain ledgers and such like that to create this social credit programmable CBDC and stuff. If you look at the Big Beautiful Lie bill and the Genius Act, they've already laid down the infrastructure. Biden and Trump have multiple executive orders managing digital assets, and everything's being tokenized. So everything's becoming a digital asset now for a blockchain ledger. So it's clear what's happening right now. It's clear. Yep, that's right. That's it. Exactly. And only if you have the Holy Spirit will you have discernment. It's really crazy out here. But I'm just grateful that, a lot of people do see what's going on, and we have to really pray for each other. And this is why we give awareness, because right now people who don't know what's going on, just like 2020, people believed the TV and trusted the government, and they rolled up their sleeves, and they were put in hard situations and they weren't prepared. One day they would say, hey, you better go roll up your sleeves or you're going to lose your job. And so we give awareness of the spiritual warfare so that people can have awareness about what's going on. They won't be caught off guard, because a lot of people are taking care of family, and a lot of people are trying to provide just be aware and keep their faith intact. And so, yes, we will come out the world, and we will suffer a loss for the name of Christ. But wisdom and discernment could actually help us to care for our loved ones, and kind of do it in a way where, what, God has given me grace to provide and endure, at in the best possible way, because I have awareness, because I'm spiritually aware of the true warfare, which is exploiting the spiritually dead nature of people. So let's check out a few other things I want to check out here. Let me see here.
Digital ID system for Americans is now being rolled out, and Alaska is becoming the first testing ground. This ties in with changes being made to the state's My Alaska digital identity system, which is now being interwoven with artificial intelligence and payment functions. Now, according to a document from Alaska's Department of Administration's Office of Information Technology, as obtained by Reclaim the Net, it says, the state is considering implementing agentic artificial intelligence models within My Alaska.
Optional.
Optional.
Optional. So.
We'll take that.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be like playing sports or a video game or something like that. If you want to work, in the same way, like you can go to the store and just buy some vegetables, or you could grow vegetables in your backyard. It's much harder to grow vegetables in your backyard, but some people still do it because they like growing vegetables. That will be what work is like, optional. Now, between now and then, there's actually a lot of work to get to that point. And I always recommend people read Ian Banks. Humanoid robots will be the biggest industry, or the biggest product ever. Bigger than cell phones or anything else, because everyone's going to want one, and or maybe more than one, and there'll be many in industry. There will come a point where no job is needed. You can have a job if you want to have a job for sort of personal satisfaction, but the AI will be able to do everything. So I don't know if that makes people comfortable or uncomfortable. It's
agenda at work.
Not for most things. We'll decide.
He signed an executive order related to what's called the now Genesis mission. It brings together all of the 17 federal labs under the Department of Energy and partners them with private companies and supercharges all of these projects with artificial intelligence. Now, with the signing of this executive order, it opens up the Department of Energy to input all the scientific data it has into an artificial intelligence model, then allows the AI data centers to build upon federal lands near those labs. Now, once powered up, the director of the Office of Science and Technology Policy says scientific discoveries will make a huge leap.
There's the one place in the world where you can bring together biological data, national security data, data for material science, for chemistry, all in one place under one roof where you can train models to accelerate scientific discovery. So the key is how you can dramatically accelerate the types of discoveries we're having and to be quickly iterating among different hypotheses.
So this isn't just about training AI. This is about coming up with that next advancement.
Absolutely, and it covers so many fields. It covers from the way that we're thinking about plasma physics relating to fusion, about biotechnology, and about the works that we can do with healthcare and drug discovery. It touches material science and chemistry. And the key is that the data that you need to train these models in order to accelerate this discovery is very much housed in the Department of Energy.
His department will be the central hub for first connecting the Department of Energy data and then expanding it to other government agencies.
We need the government to get out of the way.
And y'all see how it is, man. Y'all see, and look. Y'all remember this, right? Hold on.
People saying they're anxious about the economy. Why are they saying that?
I don't know that they are saying. I think polls are fake. We have the greatest economy we've ever had. We will have over $20 trillion come into our economy, and it's largely because of my election.
Y'all see the level of gaslighting here, right? Literally, only people right now who are building wealth are the less than 1%. All the people who have private equities and all the AI infrastructure of this new system, right? You know, the Elon Musk, the Sam Altmans, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, and so on, Larry Ellison, and many people like them. These are the people who are benefiting. Now, Trump is really the reality show president. He's giving people the theatrics that they're looking for to to just go along with the narrative, to people who want to be entertained, the entertainment generation. Let me see here.
Voters in New Jersey, New York, Virginia. I know you've been all over the affordability issue today and for the last several months. Eggs, gas, dinner costs for Thanksgiving way down, but other things, as you noted, have gone up. Beef, coffee,
they're gonna come
auto
down very
repairs.
shortly.
Is this a voter perception issue of the economy, or is there more that needs to be done by Republicans on Capitol Hill, or done in terms of policy?
More than anything else, it's a con job by the Democrats. They're saying, they just have to say, they put out something, say today costs are up. They feed it to the anchors of ABC, CBS, and NBC, and a lot of other, and CNN, and et cetera. And it's like a standard. I'll never forget they had used a word like manufactured. Do you remember the word manufactured? It's a manufactured economy. Nobody uses that word. Every anchor broke through manufactured. They do exactly what they say. It's such a rigged system. So are you ready? Costs are way down. Gasoline is going to be hitting $2 pretty soon, or around $2. Gasoline is at $2.70 now, and it was at $4.50 under Biden, under Sleepy Joe. When gasoline comes down, when energy comes down, and everybody agrees energy's down, we're drill baby.
Help thwart illegal immigration.
And let me just say this. That's what they do, right? They use the left-right paradigm to pass the blame that they're all participating in. They're all playing a role as actors in the same system, are all Agenda 2030 forward and progressing of the agenda. But they just pass the blame. Trump is going to blame Biden. Biden's going to blame Trump, but they're both working two hands of the same evil, moving towards the agenda. And they're just galvanizing people who are in idolatry of the political system, who need some political puppet to represent them because they're spiritually dead, to see what's really going on. They want to trust in the Trump or Biden instead of realizing that the entire world is lying to you. The entire world, every single part of it.
ID fraud, streamline healthcare services. Sounds fantastic. What the heck's the problem?
Right. Hey, great to be with you, Laura. Yeah, another conspiracy theory that has started coming true. We saw this announcement in September. It took everybody by surprise. The World Economic Forum had been pushing digital IDs, the United Nations, the European Union.
So you see that World Economic Forum, United Nations, European Union, the U.S., Russia. If you know about Russia and Australia have now made digital ID mandatory to log on to the internet. UK digital ID is mandatory to work. That means that they can take your data and you could be disqualified from work based on your compliance, conformity, or assimilation into the system. Very dangerous.
Britain, of course, the really terrifying example is China, which uses digital IDs and a social credit score to control speech and to control what people think and say online. It could come in a lot of different ways. They'll start voluntary, then they'll make it mandatory. They'll have rewards, and then they'll have punishments. It's quite terrifying. And when you just listen to what the advocates for digital IDs say, it's terrifying. And, Laura, one thing I learned from this last round of investigations is that this is a huge cybersecurity threat. The idea that, imagine if you get hacked in one of the many websites that you log into. Imagine everything suddenly being hacked because it's all centralized in a single place.
And see, that's another thing. They're weaponizing and they're planning that they offering the illusion, which I think are government operatives, that your stuff might get hacked because the end goal is transhumanism. They want to weave this into your body, right? According to NIH, they say the only thing that is secure via national security is not your iris scan, not your facial recognition, not your fingerprints. Those can be cloned. They say is your brain waves, your computer brain interface. Your brain waves are the only thing unique and random enough that they cannot be cloned by somebody. So ultimately, they really literally want to get in your mind, and they want to put you, while you're into this system, through your mind. Very dangerous.
Cybersecurity threat alone ought to be enough to kill the digital ID, but
I propose putting an end to anonymity on social media. Citizens have the right to privacy, not to anonymity or impunity.
See, that's the same thing. They just use word salads, conjecture, and semantics to deceive people who shouldn't believe these people anyway.
Means for what government should do in terms of its digital infrastructure, digital ID, data centers, and so on.
How do you take advantage of these incredible AI models? And the first thing a country needs to do is to unify all of their data so it can be consumed and used by the AI model. You have to take all of your healthcare data, your diagnostic data, your electronic health records, your genomic data. And in the Middle East, in the UAE, for example, they're incredibly rich in data. They have a lot of population data. The NHS in the UK has an incredible amount of population data, but it's fragmented. It's not easily accessible by these AI models. We have to take all of this data we have in our country and move it into a single, if you will, unified data platform. So we provide context. When we want to ask a question, we've provided that AI model with all the data they need to understand our country. So that's the big step. That's kind of the missing link. We need to unify all of the national data, put it into a database where it's easily consumable by the AI model.
See, they're telling you what the revelation of the method is. Unify all the data where it's easily available for the AI models, for the AI systems that's going to be in the 15-minute smart cities, the AI governance, and all these other things. They're literally telling you this is why, and this is what the executive orders and the Davos and the World Economic Forums and all the world leaders have already agreed to. These treaties, that pandemic treaty, all the world government have already agreed. It's already written in blood, essentially. So all these theatrics, people just are ignorant of the fact that all the world leaders have already agreed. They all participated in it. Just like the whole world came together during COVID, as much as they scripted to hate each other, somehow they all had lockdowns, they all blocked down, they all did the same thing.
And then ask whatever question you like.
So you're really, through the use of this, you're revolutionizing the way government works, right? The services it provides, the way that it operates. What about
Sorry, I was on mute. Y'all can hear me now. Yeah, appreciate that, brother David. You said that is fine. You live in Sweden and you have 6,000 people running around with an implanted RFID chip. That is crazy. Unknowingly cheering their way towards Revelation 13. And that's the sad part about it. That is the sad part about it. Y'all can't hear me still? Can y'all hear me? Okay, audio good. Okay, yeah. I had hit the mute button. It happens, y'all. Y'all know we have our moments up here. Hopefully it wasn't too late. Yeah, I do try to catch the comments when I can. It's hard sometimes. If you at my name so it highlights it, or you put things in caps if you have a question or you want to make a comment, sometimes that helps. Just, okay, good. Y'all got me? Great. All right, y'all. I didn't want to make this video too long, but we know about the flu going around and everybody's ignoring the fact that they're spraying the skies. I use cold words here, but they're spraying the skies ridiculously. And since people have become aware of those trails that they're spraying in the sky, they're not contrails. They do it at night. They spray extensively at night. Now, if you look up in the sky, you'll see those trails, that spraying happening. And we know about the graphene, the smart dust, the heavy metals, everything else that they're spraying up there that will insult. And then you got the radiation, the smart dust, the frequencies from the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th generation that we're being fried with. The fake food is very hard to find real food right now. They're either putting wax or pesticides on the food, and they're doing all these things. So it's crazy out here. But yet the symptoms from all this environmental toxicity, all this radiation is being interpreted through the Rockefeller pharmakeia system. So you will deflect away from the obvious things that cause symptoms in your body, and you'll believe whatever narrative that will lead to you taking the flu injection or some mRNA or something they're trying to sell you, right? And just be aware, most of the injections and procedures now are mRNA. I know the MMR and all that, the flu, the influenza, all of it is mRNA. They might not even tell you, but if you do the research, you'll realize that it's mRNA. They call it the bivalent, where they give you a 2-in-1, but they can only do that if they're all mRNA. So just be aware, do your own research. I'm not telling people to avoid, if you break your bone or you have a laceration, there are practical things that we can use these things for, but you have to have awareness about what's really going on. They use different words right now to cloak their true intention. If you don't know the verbiage that they're using now, you might opt into something you don't know. If you go into surgery, you don't recognize a word, you might be giving consent to something while you're on anesthesia. So just be aware. That's all I'm saying. Be aware, critically think, don't trust the world. If you trust God, you should already not trust the world, love the world, conform to the world, seek friendship with the world, or be concerned with the affairs of this life. Put your focus on Christ. So I didn't want to be too late on this, y'all. I just wanted to let people know that digital ID is the focus, right? And we read about that. Digital ID is the focus, AI governance, everything that's happening in the world right now is justifying why they're going to offer digital ID, the blockchain, artificial intelligence, automation, and all these new systems as a false solution. Problem, the government engineers the problem. They wait for spiritually dead to have an irrational, faithless response to their engineered problem. Then they offer the fake solution. So just be aware of that. Not only that, y'all, they're going to use digital ID as a way. They're going to use all kinds of crises and tragedies to scare you and say, there's a terrorist around, or we got to keep you safe and all this. So digital ID, we have to track everything. They already got smart cameras going up everywhere. I'm 30 miles away from DC. I know about the federal police state, the National Guard, all that police presence. They're already bringing in technology to capture your biometrics through their military checkpoints and all this stuff. They've already justified the use of military in the city. They're just going to bring the technology to make it ubiquitous, to put it everywhere. And then they're going to use digital ID as a barrier of entry to lock people out of society who know what's going on, who don't want to conform. So, and I honestly think that the amount of people that are spiritually dead are being used to accelerate this agenda, because so many people are led by a worldly identity. They just believe anything. They're experts. They're credentialed. They love their popularity. They love their wealthy life they get from forwarding the narratives and promoting the narratives. That a lot of people just don't want to expose the obvious lies of the world because they're benefiting from it. They're getting wealthy. Look at all the medical professionals and experts who benefit financially from propagating the lies of the world. It's obvious. So thank you all for coming through, y'all. I appreciate it. I know I wanted to do this yesterday. I would be longer, but I have things I got going on. So I will do another live, maybe finishing up on things that I didn't talk about today. But I appreciate it. I don't want to make it too long. We had 1 hour and 3 minutes. That's good enough. So like, share, and subscribe. Check out my backup channel, Following Christ Forever. We deal more about the biblical side, but we will continue to expose. I just wanted to give people something to chew on that you won't get from the mainstream media or these 3-letter agencies or something like that. So appreciate you all. And I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, y'all. You said, what is his username? My name is Andre, but Spiritual Logic for Truth is this channel, is my main channel. Following Christ Forever is my backup channel. You can catch me on Telegram. All these links are in the description box. So check out my description box or the beginning of the channel, and you will see all my content where you can find videos that I've done. Check out all my content. I have a bunch of shorts that I wish I could go over that will explain everything. Check out the shorts on this channel because they don't get promoted because we're exposing the world. So obviously the algorithm is not going to be friendly. So you have to manually check things out. All right, y'all, peace and blessings. And thank you all for joining me. And I will, God willing, catch you on the next one. Appreciate all the new people, and I will catch you all later. Peace.